Hi, Salam Alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. Sulaiman Rahim. Breaker of the Seven Seals. Messenger of the Covenant. This is Critical Analytics War Talk segment. Our topic today is Elijah's fortresses. First, we're going to cover a couple of things. Then we're going to get into it, into our subject matter. Sisters and brothers, the creation is not that complicated. It's our minds been dim. It's not complicated to our minds because we created it, right? We make this creation. What is a creation, right? Energy, you give form to energy, that's creation. Giving form to energy, that's creation. See? So, the universe is all energy, and we gave form to it. We created it. We didn't create the universe itself, because you cannot create energy, you cannot destroy it. So that's not creation. That's something else, which is impossible. You cannot create energy, and you cannot destroy it. But you can give it form, because without a creator, it's just a cloud of energy, just mathematics. See? But you give mathematics form. In other words, you can say 12 equals 12. That's mathematics. But it has no form. So you say, okay, 6 plus 6 equals 12. Now you gave us a form. Or 2 plus 10. Or 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 6. You're giving it form. And that's what we do. So when you look out at the universe, that form you see, we gave it. Even Cavey admits that he has no idea how the universe took form. Because his idea of Big Bang Theory means it should have been just an explosion of energy. It just be a big cloud of energy out there. But he can't explain how we have formed stars and planets and all, and when you look at it, it's the mathematics of it is beautiful. I mean, when you study, if you go out and study the universe, you find the mathematics is beautiful. It's very simple too. It's just the way the Earth goes around the sun. The mathematics of that is very simple, and the mathematics of the universe itself is very simple. It boils down to just force, mass times acceleration. The statement they make, you reap what you sow, that's the fundamental principle of the universe. Consequence. Every action has an opposite equal reaction. That's the fundamental, when you understand that, that's the most fundamental principle, the most simplest principle of the universe. It's just what's on one side equal sign has to be on the other side equal sign. Period. That's consequence. Everything balances. There's no exceptions to that. See? But now religions come in and tell you there are exceptions. Christianity tell you, oh no, everything has to balance, or you can do whatever you want, to just believe in Jesus because he died for your sin, so you don't have to suffer consequence. That's bullshit. It's impossible. It's a lie, but religions are all lies anyway because they're not real. None of them are based on reality. All of them are based on some mysticism or some superstition or some invisible whatever. Now, what does all this mean? When you understand what personification means, say for instance you have bad luck, right? You just got bad luck. It was just bad luck. So say you got so much bad luck, right? So was you owe a debt, right, to the universe. So you owe the universe $10,000 in debt. So you got $10,000 worth of bad luck, right? So it could take many forms. I mean, you go to the casino, lose $10,000. Man, damn, I need a bad luck tonight. See? Or you meet this person, right? And you get in a fight and they say you got a $10,000 hospital bill. See? Because we are familiar with bad luck. But bad luck, the way most people think bad luck's like, it's just something thing that happens, like accidents and stuff, just things happen, or an act of God. Some say it's an act of God or something. See, always some nebulous, spiritual, unseen, undefined thing, right? And it's not even quantified because you just have bad luck, so they don't say how much bad luck he has. They don't even attribute that to it. So it's just something to happen. So in other words, you can have bad luck today and good luck tomorrow, whatever. They don't understand that it's a metric to it. See, so first of all, you have to understand that. Well, you understand that once, because it's a debt. Bad luck is a debt that you owe to mathematics. Because the universe is mathematics. It's imbalance. It's an imbalance that you've created somehow. And once that imbalance is satisfied, the bad luck goes away. But see, the original people do not believe in mysticism and spook and spirits and invisible things. We made everything visible. So we'll also do that with bad luck and everything else. So when you say the personification, say you have, again, $10,000 worth of bad luck. Okay, what if that bad luck shows up in a person? So you got a person, right, that caused you $10,000 worth of trouble. That's all that person does. Just does cause you all kind of $10,000 worth of trouble, and then he goes away. See? But you can see the person, you can talk to him, but they caused you $10,000 worth of bad luck. You may not realize that person's doing that, but they caused you $10,000 worth of bad luck. So that's what personification is. So now you don't have to, it's not an invisible thing anymore, it's a person. And if you can identify that person, you can say, okay, here, hey man, here's your $10,000, right? Or you can say, let's work out something. Can I work for you or not, whatever, to pay this debt off? See? Because that's where we do things. We don't have, oh man, this is invisible and accidents. There's no such thing as accident. Accident is mathematics that you just don't understand. See? So, without going into a lot of detail, because I have many presentations about this, how the universe expands and contracts. Expand is tension, contract is pressure. Pressure and tension are opposite each other. When you're under pressure, things are pushed together. When you're under tension, things are pulled apart. So as the universe expands, things are pulled apart. It starts with little things like microbes until it gets to the point where we split apart where a being is almost like us, close like us, right? And then going a little step further, right, where we separate, right, because we have two sides, Quran has two sides of everything, so we have two sides of the brain, so we separated that too. So now we got an individual, we got a spatial side of the brain, analytical side of the brain. Now we got an individual that's both sides of the brain is almost all spatial. Another individual, both sides his brain or their brain is almost all analytical. It went that far until the universe is expanded until you had that much tension, pull things apart. At that point, right, we have to have the wisdom to start pulling it back together. Otherwise, right, we're totally destroyed. See? So, 50,000 years ago, we wanted energy deprivation because as it pulls apart, it means energy that was in the center at the Earth, right? The Earth is the center of the universe, and we were at the center of the Earth. I'll take a little segue. I didn't want to talk about this, right? I don't want to get too far adrift here, right? Because we talked about the original God, he was alone, or he was genderless. He was alone in the center of the earth. Because the Quran tells you that we originally were fire. Because Iblis says, "Oh, you made me a fire." They think that means some kind of angry or whatever. No, we were initially, because we was at center of earth. The earth was extremely hot at the time when the universe totally contracted, and we was at the center. That one being was at the center, right? He was wise enough to construct, right, his shelter, right, and where he could work and handle all the pressure, a total contracted universe. See, because that's why we are so. That's our brain. When at that amount of pressure, right? The temperature is extremely. Because that's what pressure is. When you put things under pressure, that's what pressure cookers. You put under a lot of pressure, it gets really hot because things move around faster and faster. Atoms move faster and faster and faster. So at that point in time, atoms move around 24 billion miles per second on average. That's consciousness. See? So that being had to have enough pressure, because that's what thought is, pressure, right, to offset the pressure of the contracting universe. Because if he didn't, it would just crush, be crushed out of existence. See? But he was not alone. See? Because as it was contracting, the universe contract, and it's trying to crush the center. The universe is cracking, and it's trying to crush the center. But he's at the center, preventing it from being crushed. Otherwise, the universe would crush out of existence, stop expanding, its track. That's the end of it. See? But there was others that was outside his shelter that didn't want the universe to expand anymore. They wanted to stop this whole process. You might call them the djinn of the time. They wanted to stop it. And they was the ones that's putting pressure on him. They was trying to get into his shelter and destroy him, right? So the universe would not, so he would not be able to keep the universe from contracting and ignite it to expand again. These things don't happen. See, that was oh man, Big Bang Theory. No, we control everything. But you had those that was still right, and they was wise, they was powerful. What was not as powerful as him, but they didn't want the universe, right? Because they the personification of the pressure that was on him. You understand? It wasn't just pressure. There was a personification of the pressure. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We give everything personification, so therefore there's no mysteries anywhere. So when I say he was under extreme pressure, those by beings, right? His brothers and sisters, brothers, whatever, right? They were beings, they weren't no gender, but they were the ones putting pressure, trying to get in, trying to get to him, to destroy him, to stop the universe from him, prevent him from keeping the universe from collapsing totally. See? So he had to fight them off and ignite the universe and blew them away in the process. So we have the same thing going on at the end. Because at the end now, remember all that pressure forced him into the center of the universe. Earth is the center of the universe. It's momentous in the heavens and the earth. But coming all of a sudden, he's at the center. All that pressure forced everything to the center. He's in the center. He's in the core of the sun, core of the earth. Earth is our mother, so to speak, right? And he's at the core. I keep saying Hebrew is genderless, right? He was at the core, right? His wiseness built a shelter, right? He was in that shelter alone, right? See, getting the wisdom, right? To take and stop the universe from contracting. He was the only thing that's stopping it. And then to ignite it to cause it to expand again, just do it by itself. So now it's expanding. Now it got to the point where it's expanded to the maximum. It's intention now. Expanded to the maximum. So we got to the point where everything's being pulled apart. So he was everything, see, all the attributes, all the animals and trees and eggs, that was all attributes of the first being. All those attributes in that first being. But we defined ourselves as we put these attributes out. So we defined, so all these attributes was once in us. It's like the Quran tells you, all life came from one being. So all those attributes, the attributes of lions, elephants, all those attributes we had within us at that time, that being. So now, all the attributes are spread out. All the attributes are all spread out. That's why everything returned to Allah in the end. We're acting like it was. All the attributes are all spread out right now. The lions, that's how we said, we give everybody their backs. When you get somebody back, you mean you make it independent, right? You get somebody back, you mean you make it quasi-independent. What the Quran's talking about, gave you your backs. See? So then we get to the point where the tension's so great that it pulls almost, eventually it gets so great that actually separate our consciousness into analytical and spatial. One being is almost all spatial, one being is almost analytical. So you got the two gods at the end. That's why you keep talking about in the Quran and the Bible, there's two gods. They keep talking, I mean, well, you don't see it too much in the Quran, but you see it in the Bible. So, oh, you can't, it's only two gods. No, it's only one God, because when you understand it's only one God, because we all are, as we are ourselves are the one God. See, so it's only one God. It's only one mathematics. So don't get that twisted. But the thing is that we made that force that's pulling things apart, which personified it in Yakub's creation. So they're the ones pulling everything apart. You see? So at the time, there's time to bring the universe back together. They don't want to do that because that means their destruction. You see? That means their destruction. The same as those ones that was trying to stop the first God, right, from expanding the universe again, because that meant their destruction. So that's KV. That's the devils. They've been pulling everything apart ever since they've been here. In the last 5 years, they've been pulling nations apart. They're the personification of it. I need you to understand that. They're the personification of it. So what they're going to resist, because they're going to try to keep everything apart, right? They keep the universe from contracting, because it's in a contraction phase now, but they don't want to contract anymore. They want to stop it, because they know if it keeps contracting, the pressure is going to destroy them. Because they can't handle that pressure. Just like those first ones, first God, tension, they could not handle tension. They came and exist on extreme pressure, and now you're going to this tension stage. That means it's going to pull them apart. So, at that point, right, we have enough, because the contracting energy is coming back. Every 50 years, we get a wave of energy, as the Quran tells you about, and it's momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes to you but of a sudden. So all energies. So now we got enough energy to start pulling things back together. We're not suffering energy deprivation now. Those are suffering self-imposed energy deprivation, but now it starts coming back together. We got enough. It's not coming back together by itself. We have to pull it back together. I'm saying it's not going to happen by itself. That's why you have to have someone to come in and pull it back together. That's why I said God said this is His Christ to pull us back together. You see? So everything that was pulled apart start coming back together. That's what I want to show you, right, in the next slide here. So hold on. Hope I set this up correctly, or in a way that you can understand it. Hold on here. I'll talk about him in a minute. Okay. Okay, this might be quite a little bit of problem, so I'll make it like this for now. Okay, see here, 50,000 years ago, there was only 3 tribes. Tribe of Shabazz, Hindu tribe, tribe of Levites, right? That's Asia, with primarily India, right? Africa, right? And they was all together. They weren't all separated. And the original tribe, they weren't demons then. So I'm just leaving it like that because, you understand, they was all gold, right? Tribe of Shabazz, 50,000 years ago, when we start moving into energy deprivation. Okay? Then, 35,000 years ago, we went to religion, got off the mathematical standard, right? But we're not going to talk about that here. All right, at least not right now. Then came Dr. Shabazz. Now see right here, Dr. Shabazz, these are primarily, right, Dr. Shabazz, the Europeans. Dr. Shabazz, Dr. Yakub, rather, excuse me, his creation. So now you got a fourth tribe, but there's an incidental fifth tribe. I'm not going to get to that here, but it's like a afterbirth type of effect. Right? That's why they refer to it as death. I'm not going to elaborate on that here. So we're going to talk about the European tribe here. Right? Okay. So he brought that in. Remember we suffered energy deprivation and it was getting more intense. 50,000 years ago we begin, right? The universe, there's not enough energy to maintain ourselves anymore, maintain our civilization, right? We had enough to maintain ourselves, now let's maintain civilization, right? And until 6,000 years ago, it got more intense, and then 500 years ago, right, we lost control of ourselves, basically, right? So we made personification of that process, that tension process of pulling things apart. They came into existence, see, because we made them personification, took them from us, they personification of that tension force that's pulling things apart here on the planet, okay? Then, 500 years ago, right, there they go. See, they caught all the nations, broke all the nations up. See, America took control of us. Europe took control of Africa, colonization. Britain took control of Asia, right? Domination, right? You take Soviet Union, that was Soviet Union time, right? They split up. Basically, if you just look at China and Taiwan, they split into two because one is now communist, one is capitalist. And they split on that principle. They split on the principle of what? Communism. And what was Soviet Union? That's where they got it from. The government. Soviet Union was communist at the time, right? So each one had different levels of domination. Ours was enslaved and oppressed. See, Africa was colonized. See, Asia was dominated. Each one had different levels. See, so this is what happened. This is where we are. So remember, they pull us apart. They're pulling everything apart because that's their nature. They're the personification of that tension force that we have to deal with. So we have to look to a mystery God for it. See, we don't believe in mystery gods and invisible angels, invisible devils. See, the angel tells us that's all BS. That's the lie they tell us. Those things are not visible. They're clearly, but their invisibility is in the fact that you don't know who they are. That's how they can hide themselves, disguise themselves, because you don't know who they are. You believe they're invisible, so they are invisible to you. They're invisible to you because you don't know who they are. You don't recognize, like you have an undercover person, that person invisible to you because you don't recognize who that person is. If you don't recognize, you think they're your friend, so they're invisible to you. Their true nature is invisible to you. Their true identity is invisible to you. So a true identity of angels is invisible to you. The true identity of jinn is invisible to you. The true identity of God is invisible to you, right? The true identity of Satan is invisible to you because you can't identify them. You know who they are. They're right in front of your face, but since you can identify them, they're invisible to you. So they're in the spirit world. Where you are. When you're dreaming, you're in the spirit world. They're not real, but you think they're real. So those things that you think they're invisible, they're real, right? But they're not. In a spirit world, they're not invisible, but in your world they are because you're the dream world. See? So this is what happened. So now you see everybody's but what you see right now, you see everybody's trying to pull the thing back together. Africa's trying to come out together, trying to get the African Union, right? You get China and Taiwan, the stress right there. China said they're going to take Taiwan back. You got the stress in Asia. They try to unite that back. India wants to pull Bangladesh and all that stuff back together. So everybody's trying to pull, come back together like they were initially. And the original nation wants to come back together too. But you got these factors keeping it apart. So you got the demons and the devils keeping us apart here. See, because the demons, right? They're part of the tension force because they're the nature of their daddies, the devil daddies. See, so this is what happens. This is what's about to happen. See, because that's what war's all about. It says war's going to take place, right? Everybody's going to be pulled back together. The angel tells us that everybody's going to pull back together. That means that you had a war over there. China's going to take Taiwan back, right? Asia's going to be reunited. African countries going to come together. See? As we come together, all it's going to happen simultaneously. That's what's about to happen. See? And Europe is going to be forced back. See, they were spread all over the planet, keeping everybody divided. Now they're going to be forced back into Europe. You see? But they're going to be dominated by the witnesses called sackcloth here. It says that's there are, because that represents the iron. If you understand Daniel, that represents the iron, and that's Master Prophet Muhammad's rod of iron that he will rule the nations with. The Shia. See? As I said, we get closer and closer and closer. I'm trying to make this clear and clear and clear. That's what's about to happen. See? This is about to happen. Because when we come together, they're going to be fighting. All these people be doing the same thing. There'll be wars in different places, right? They're trying to bring what was taken from them. Who took it from them? Europeans. Who divided them? Europeans. Divide and conquer, right? Now, Europeans are going to be forced out, and they're going to be reunited. Either by diplomacy or by war or whatever. They're coming back together. See? In our case, right, we're going to force back together because they're going to be trying to kill our people. They're going to be fleeing. They're going to be forced to come together. See? But, well, put it this way. It's going to be, like it tells you, it's going to be Suleiman that's going to bring them back together. Because he's going to prophesy to the four winds. I'll talk about that in another section. I'm getting sidetracked here, right? But it's the angel, because in other words, they're going to have enough, they're going to be fleeing. They're going to be fleeing away from their oppressors because they're going to be under attack. But it's going to be Suleiman that's going to bring them together. So you got the beacons and everything that's going to bring them together. He's the one that's going to bring them together. See? And then he's going to separate the demons and the devils out from us. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Try to make this as simple as possible. See? So, now it's time to come back together. So all these nations are coming back. You're going to have wars all over the place. Wars and all kinds of whatever it takes, they're going to come back together. That's going to force Europe out of all these places back into Europe. See, under extreme pressure. But they're not, see, but they're going to try to stop this. They don't want this. You see, the other side of the war, they're going to try to stop that. With all the power, because they know pushing them back together again is their destruction. Is their destruction. Because it means they can't handle that kind of pressure. They couldn't handle it when they was all Europe before they spread out all over the world. Europe was a shithole. Disease, tyranny, poverty. They had to stretch out to take the creative power, and what this says through us all nations were blessed. See, because by them coming and taking us, they got creative power, and who's blessing all the nations? Who all the nations depend on America? We need aid needs money and everything else. Why? Because America can produce all this stuff. Why? Because they got all this gold and silver here, which is us. So once they're forced out, they don't have it anymore. They go back into poverty. Because they're tension by nature. They create tension and we create pressure. They create tension because they tension by nature. We create pressure. So now we create pressure, but they can't handle pressure. All they do is create tension. So what does that mean? That means when we get back and we start creating pressure, so now we start recreating our paradise, they're going to be creating their hell. Because that's all they can do, and they don't have any gold or silver to bail them out. So they're going to create a hell just worse than the hell. They was in hell for 1,000 years up in Europe in the Dark Ages. Now they're going to create a hell much worse than that, because that's all they can create. It's going to get worse and worse for them because the pressure is going to increase, and they cannot handle pressure. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think we're going to leave that there and move on to the next segment. Okay, before I do that, let's go here. I wanted to see, just talk about something here. I want to talk about this. See, he's a fog master. He's a demon. Now Elijah Muhammad, this gets into our major subject about Elijah's fortresses. See, Elijah, when he came, you understand, on pressure, thought is pressure. And pressure is what the universe is. That's the nature of the universe. That's the nature of the universe. Like I said, at first, God, he had to have enough mental pressure, thought pressure, right, to offset the pressure of a totally compressed universe. Can you imagine how much pressure is, all that energy out there, all in one small space? It's a superstar, greatest star ever. And he's at that person at the very center of it. He has to have enough pressure, mental pressure, thought pressure, right, to equal the pressure, right, of the totally track universe. But his pressure in the form of thought. And that's just pressure out there, right? But they're equal. So if our pressure is thought and that's pressure, that means if we equal, our thought is equal to the universe. That means that make us the maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth, God, universe, to make us totally conscious, totally aware of the universe, because our thought is pressure, and our pressure is equal to the pressure of the universe. But our pressure is in the form of thought. So that make us the maker, we're at the center of the universe. That's why it says the cream of the planet Earth, because we're at the center of the universe, which is the center of the Earth, right? And so clean rise from the bottom to the top. That's what that whole thing is talking about. Maker, owner, because the Earth, right? We didn't create it, we made it. So that we gave it form, gave it the form it has now. Because it was like a ball of fire then. And we was primarily fire-based. Maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth, God, universe. That's what that means, sisters and brothers. Anyway. So, we had lost knowledge of self. That's why it says we would not return. If Master Muhammad said we would not return to have thorough knowledge of self, and these clowns of NOI on Sunday talk about that, well, it says return to where? Return to America? In itself tells you they're lying, but we ain't going nowhere. Well, we need thorough knowledge of self, and we ain't going nowhere. It says we will not return to have a thorough knowledge of self. Return to where? Understand? So, at that point in time, the pressure we were under, right, by the cavies and everything was greater, because remember, they put pressure, the pressure stuff. Remember, they personification about our problem. So now, right, they have the sealed Bible, and it has that's sealed Bible is thought. It's thought, dormant thought. Like, it's like putting powder into a dynamite. I mean, putting it into, there's dynamite. It's powder locked into a cube or something. I mean, some kind of casing, right? So that's what the scripture is. It's thought, but it's written down, so it has to be released. See, so they had the sealed Bible, which is powerful, and that put a lot of pressure on us, because pressure is good for us, and pressure turns us. Pressure is bad for them, but it's good for us. But the pressure they put on us for 465 years was able to form us from coal into diamonds. See, so once that coal transformed to diamond, then the pressure is equalized. So now it doesn't feel the pressure on it anymore, because it's transformed to adjust to that pressure. So here comes Master Muhammad to finish the process off, right? To make that transition, That's for the Levites, not for us yet, right? Because they're preparing the way. That's what it says. He would prepare the way before me. Who? Who is Elijah preparing the way? He's not preparing the way before God, because God prepared the way before him. So he's preparing the way for the message of the covenant. The message of the covenant is going to take us home. That's why he's the message of the covenant. Elijah never said he was going to take us home. Anyway, and talk about the message of the covenant. Anyway, so he gives Elijah, right? Because that was their point. The Levites are a priest tribe. They were supposed to prepare. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to help the messenger or whatever. When they come, they're supposed to help them. But they was betrayed by a liar, false lying Farrakhan. He tricked them. And so it said he would make war with the saints and overcome them for 42 years. And that's what he did. Because he's a liar. And they believed they shouldn't have to Elijah Muhammad. It's hard for me to understand how they was able to be deceived by that fool after Elijah Muhammad, but they were. So he gave Elijah Muhammad that supreme wisdom. They gave them greater thought power than the cavies were putting on us. See? So Elijah Muhammad said he thought fortresses all over the country. And with nothing the devil could do, nothing they could do about it. See, they threw Elijah in jail. They could not stop him. So before he left, he had fortresses called temples all over the country. And they could not touch him. And they was calling the devil, they going toe-to-toe with the devil, and the devil could not touch him. And they was making progress. And they was beginning the embryonic stages of building a kingdom. This is the kingdom we built, but it's the start, because now we're starting to build a kingdom. So we're starting to, if you're going to, in other words, it's like priming the pump again, right? So in other words, now we waking up. So like it's like ants, right? We start waking up, start doing ants do, start putting things together. So now we start building, right? The process of doing it, but we actually build our kingdom when we get home. But you sit around and you learn to do it when you go to school, right? To learn to be a carpenter, you just start doing it. So now you're going through the process of learning what it takes to start putting a nation together. Elijah Muhammad was doing that, preparing us. At least the Levites. And then he departed, and they know they could not take the nation down because they could not overcome the thought. Their thought was not powerful enough, because greater pressure destroys lesser pressure. There was nothing they could do as long as they maintained what Elijah Muhammad gave them. As long as they stuck with the supreme wisdom what Elijah Muhammad gave them, there was nothing that devils could do, and they knew that. That was said they come with a plan and all this stuff. But they had to get somebody to take and destroy those fortresses. See? Weaken that thought. Break it down to a level that they could handle. Because you saw Sunnism was powerful for, well, I wouldn't say Sunnism, but Islam in the Middle East, right? The Sunnism aspect of it was powerful for 1,000 years because the thought process was greater. And then they ignited the sealed Bible, right? The Christian part, not the Catholicism part. The Christian part came, the esoteric, that came 5 years ago, because that was a different explosion than the first one. It was two-part explosion, but it was powerful enough, right, to blow away the Sunnism. So they have Sunnism on its knees for the last 5 years. So they know they could handle that. See, because they got mathematics mixed in with it, what Sunnis don't have. There's no mathematics, no reason, no logic, and nothing they talk about over there. So they had them on these 5 years. So they said they don't handle that. So they said, well, if we can take and transform this back to that level of thought, we can handle it. And that was Farrakhan's job. So he went in there, right? First, Wallace came and dismantled all the fortresses anyway. See, but there was some fortresses holding on, here and there, here and there. See, so they had to bring Farrakhan come to demolish them all together, right, and install, because they wanted to get rid of the seed of that thought altogether. They didn't want that. They wanted to get rid of the seed of that thought, because if they get rid of it, it spring up someplace else. They want to take that chance, because they know anytime it manifests itself, was nothing they could do with it. Nothing they could do with it at that period of time. Nothing they could do with it. You see? So he was sent in to do the job. And that's the job he did. See, he turned them away back to Sunnism, Scientology, and weakened them enough so Massa, Yahu's creation, could dominate them again. That's what's happened. They lost their way. See? Then you got some claim they hold on. They're not claiming, they're holding on to it. They're scriptees and time anchors. Because they don't understand. They hold on to the past, but time moves on. Because time moves on because we create time. Time is the process of creating, transform energy from one form into another. See, because it tells you, Suleiman will come, right? The messenger of the covenant, he would take you on through time to meet your God. Because God is moving fast through time. He's got to bring you up so you meet your God. Because your God ain't going to stand still waiting for you. It's the high priest to take and bring you to quicken your pace, right? So you catch up with your God. Because otherwise, if you don't catch up with him, you're going to be lost in time. Anything lost in time is dead. The graveyard is full of people lost in time in the past. If you're lost in time, it means you're stuck in the past. And those time makers are stuck in the past. They're trying to hold you back in the past. Oh, we got Message of the Black Man. We got How to Live. We got Farm America. And they don't know shit about anything. They ain't see COVID coming. They ain't see none of this. They can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. They can't tell you how this is going to happen now. They can't tell you about this war coming on. They'll have no idea of the future because they can't see. They don't have no foresight. All they got is hindsight. And if you got hindsight, that means you're walking backwards. If you ain't walking backwards, if you're walking forward, looking backwards, you're going to run into something sooner or later. Sooner more than later. Here you're walking forward, but you're looking backwards. That's what they are. So let them leave them alone. Because the point is that as we move through time, we don't have to worry about them. Because they're lost in time. Anybody lost in time does not catch up with you. You don't have to worry about anybody lost in time. You have to worry about anybody that's in the graveyard. So they're walking dead. These Eric and all these people that think they're walking dead. They don't have any idea what's going on. They keep telling me about yesterday, yesteryear. So only Sunni, yesteryear, what problem Muhammad did 1,000, 1,400 years ago, how great it was. They're talking about they lost in the past. They're reminiscing. They're in the graveyard. They're just walking dead. They're just waiting to be buried. Just leave them alone. Right? See? So I want you to understand that. So we're going to talk a little more about, like I said, he dismantled these fortresses. And so that's where Suleiman would come along. Because see, he came along with even greater pressure. He unlocked those seals, he exploded that. And that's more than they can handle. There's nothing they can do now. See, they tried to eradicate Elijah Muhammad. See, but they was trying remember, they was trying to eradicate Suleiman before he was born. That's the whole story about Herod. Remember, two people they tried to eradicate. Moses, that's Elijah, right? And Jesus, Suleiman. They ain't trying to eradicate Aaron. Why? Because he's one of them. So they failed to eradicate Elijah, and they failed to eradicate Suleiman. So it's too late now. There's nothing they can do. Well, if you get knowledge of Angel, and you move your thought process above theirs, there's nothing they can do to you. No weapon formed will prevail against you. There's nothing they can do because your pressure is greater than this. And low, higher pressure, no matter how small it is greater than greater pressure, no matter how small it is greater than lower pressure, no matter how much it is. So if you got a billion units of lower pressure and you got 1 unit of higher pressure, the higher pressure is going to beat every time because higher pressure always beats lower pressure. Doesn't matter how much it is. That's just the nature of it. So this is a pressure war. We're talking about war, brothers and sisters, and it's a war of minds. That's the most powerful, not atomic bomb, because the atomic bomb, all that weapons, everything came out of what? Of a lower pressure mind. That means it's locked into that level. So it can never defeat these. You're afraid of atomic bombs and jet planes and stealth fighters and tanks and biological weapons. You're afraid of that? No, you should not be if your mind is greater, because it says no weapon formed will prevail against. That's why they can say that, because you have a higher pressure But if you ain't on into the angel and you out there with that, then they can crush you. If you have to do that Sunnism and all that kind of stuff, they can crush you because their mind power is greater than yours. Their thought pressure is greater than yours. But once you start, there's nothing they can do, absolutely nothing they can do. Or they might throw you in jail, whatever, but they can't harm you. They've thrown me in jail, and I beat them every time, and they can't understand. They still can't figure it out. See? Plus, we give you the 5 fundamental principles of Islam. That's your protection. Injury is like your weapon. But once your thought, because that's we trying to unlock that spatial mind and trying to get you to start studying so you can increase the pressure, thought pressure. It ain't about physical pressure. See, a person that's 500 pounds is going to be somebody's 100 pounds every day and twice on Sunday because they got so much more power, more physical power. Your mind, if your thought pressure is greater than theirs, you defeat them. There's nothing they can do. And the greater your thought pressure, the less they can do. They can't do anything anyway, but that means you have more and more power over them. And eventually, they'll be blown out of the way. You ever see pictures in a plane? What happens is that somebody punch a hole in the plane, and all of a sudden, everybody's sucked out. You know what that is? Because in the air in the plane is compressed. Because when you move higher up there, the pressure is lower the higher up you move above the earth. So they have to pressurize the plane, otherwise you wouldn't be able to breathe. So they keep the pressure inside the plane is greater than the pressure outside the plane. So if you punch a hole in, right, it doesn't suck people in, it sucks people out because that's the pressure pushing you out. Greater pressure, right, pushes away lower pressure. If it's the other way around, that means it'd be sucking things into the plane. It's pushing things out of the plane because the pressure inside is greater, so it's pushing out. It's pushing the lower pressure out, but unfortunately, if you ain't hold down, it's going to push you out too. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay, so let's go into the other part, and then we're going to close up. Now, I'm not going to read all this. You can read this, Malachi. It says, behold, I will send my messenger. He shall prepare the way before me. That means he hasn't come yet. If the messenger is preparing the way before him, he hasn't come yet. That couldn't be Master Fard Muhammad talking. He prepared the way before me. So someone's coming after him. He's preparing the way before me. Master Fard Muhammad prepared the way before Elijah. Elijah's not preparing the way for Master Fard Muhammad, and no way you can read that into that. And the Lord you seek now is talking, and the Lord who? He said, listen to this carefully. He's preparing the way before me. Right? Who is the me? That's the one you seek. Right? So now you got to read this carefully. The Lord you seek, he's talking about himself now, shall suddenly come to his temple. Come to Elijah's temple. Even the messenger of the covenant. Who's the messenger of the covenant? He's the one you delight in. See? Said the Lord of hosts. See, that's the God talking now. So he's not talking about himself. He's talking about the messenger of the covenant, the one that succeeds Elijah. See? So he comes and he says, who will stand when he appears? That means it's going to be a terrible time when he appears. But who will abide the day of his coming? Who will stand when he appears? For he is like the finest fire full of soap. He shall set as refiner and purify silver and purify sons of Levi. Remember I talked about the Levites? Those ones Elijah raised. There was two dead people raised in the Bible. Elijah raised someone and Jesus saved someone. Jesus of Suleiman raised someone. Jesus is just another name for Joshua. Joshua Suleiman, son of man. Right? So there's only two people. So Elijah was a Levite, and he raised the Levites, right? But Jesus, Suleiman, he raised Lazarus, right? So he shall set in pure. So that means talking about Elijah here. So he shall set, and I mean not talking about Elijah, but it's talking about Suleiman here, who he's going to purify the sons of Levi, right? Because something happened to him, purge them, and it's gold and silver. That's gold and the silver. That's Lazarus and the Levites. They shall offer unto the Lord an offering of righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord as in days of old in the former years. Then I will come to you near to you in judgment. See, that means the judgment will take place. When does judgment take place? I tell you in Daniel, when the Ancient of Days set. Ancient of Days had woolly hair. That ain't Farrakhan. It tells you when judgment was set. When he says when thrones were cast down, that means whose thrones were being cast down. That means the authorities in the NOI was being cast down, right? And Ancient Days is set. It's hair like lamb's wool. That excludes. Can't be talking about Farad. They can't be talking about Farrakhan. And against okay, so you can read all this. This is Malachi. So we're gonna go to the next one. Now, this is the next. Right between the one I'm getting ready. It's 3 parts. I want all 3 parts. Now there's somebody comes in between Elijah, see? Because he fixed everything. But he had to clean up stuff. So what was he cleaning up? He was cleaning up Elijah's mess? Of course not. He wasn't cleaning up Farad's mess. So he's cleaning up the one that came between, that Exodus tells who came in between Aaron. See? So he says, from days of your father, okay. Will a man rob God? So somebody's robbing God. Yet you have robbed me. So somebody's robbing God, taking what belongs to God, to the people, our nation, for themselves. But you have robbed me in thieves and offering. That means stuff that should have been in tithes and offering. That means stuff that should have went to our nation, to our people, right? But they was taking it for themselves. Who is doing that? See? Ain't you getting Farrakhan all kinds of money and everything? What's he doing with it? See, he done anything for you? Has he built anything? Has he built a nation? He says he's following after Elijah Muhammad. He said, no, now he's talking about he's doing self-improvement. But you're giving him money, millions of dollars you're giving him. It's all in his name. And he's getting wealthier and wealthier and wealthier. Right? But he says, you robbed me of tithes and offerings. But you are cursed with a curse. He's going to be cursed. And Farrakhan been cursed? Ask any man, what's the worst curse that you can put upon a man and still be alive? Take his manhood away. Disembowel him. Amen. They'd rather be crucified, beat, or anything else that doesn't happen. Show me a man that has it that's any different. That's happened to him. He's cursed. He's robbing God, but he's cursed for it. When have you robbed me and thieves and offering? You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me. Farrakhan is cursed with a curse because he's been robbing the Nation of Islam. He ain't produced a damn thing, but he's still begging for money. He's been on an economic program for years. He hasn't produced a damn thing with it. If he says about self-improvement, why is he asking for money for economic program? Ask yourself that. He's cursed with a curse. You think disembowelment is not a curse? You think that's a blessing? Elijah Muhammad gave his big hint. He tell you what? What he say? He says, a woman is a man's heaven. Well, you don't have no heaven, do it now. What do we? Okay. Say, but make it clear. You're robbing even this whole nation. He says you robbed the nation. So there ain't no individual out there. Somebody robbed the Nation of Islam. Someone who's robbed. And you can't say it's me because I'm not asking you for a dime. I've never asked anybody for a dime. You can't give me any money because you don't know how to do it. So who's robbing the Nation of Islam? Who's been in control of it? Elijah Muhammad didn't rob it. He left a nation. He built buildings, farms, everything. Farrakhan ain't built a damn thing, but you've been giving him money. It's right there, brothers and sisters. See? Anyway, you can read this, read the rest of it, right? Because I'm going to move on. Okay. It's right there, brothers and sisters. He's robbed God. He's robbed this nation. He's a liar. Remember I said how his whole idea was to bring the nation down by distracting you with all bullshit, religion, and everything else? Because he's not teaching the lessons. let's say the devils cannot be rehabilitated. He said, everybody tried. We done gave up, so now we're going. He said, no, he's going to heal Babylon. He's going to bring devils in NOI. And devils ain't devils no more. And you still, those with him are demons. That's the whole story of Peter. I'm not going to that right here. So he's filled the nation of Islam with demons. There's somebody that got, it says some of them, they're getting ready to get rid of him in a few days. Maybe in a couple of days, maybe a couple of hours. He's toast. Burnt toast. But some toast is pretty good, right? Burnt toast. Nobody likes burnt toast, I don't think. So here, the last part is, right? It says, behold, the day comes to burn the oven. See, Farrakhan now he talking that stuff. He ain't been talking about for years because America, he wants to stay here in America. Why would you want to stay here in America and be burning his oven? He says the fall of America. You see anything on the fall of America page that there's going to be some special states that's going to be saved? Whole country is aflame. So why is he telling you stay here if you want to stay here? To be burned up with it? He's staying here. They cometh, right? So the wicked shall be stubble, be burned up, leave neither root nor branch. So he going to save some of them. No, he said, all of them going to be gone, all the devils, all of them going to be gone. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness. Why say Son, not S-U-N? Because in the angel it tells you, defines Suma as the Son. It says, Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in his wings, shall go forth and grow up, and you shall go forth with cows and stall. So when he comes to wisdom to make you healthy and everything again, because he's going to take you home. See? And he's the Son. The Son doesn't send you a bill. The Son gives you. You don't give anything back to the Son. The Son gives you. I've been giving you for 30-some years. I ain't asked you for a dime yet and have no attention to. Farrakhan's always asking, give me. He gets send you a bill, especially every save day. Then now he want a bill for his son. I've never did no stuff like that. Now you got to give money to his son too, and to a daughter. I guess you got to a dog too, right? See. Behold, I send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great dreadful day of the Lord. So the hearts of father to the children. That means he turns back to our people. They ain't Farrakhan. They trying to turn your heart back to the devils. Oh, Christianity, like soon as he's kissing and kissing on devils and carrying on, they ain't devils anymore. He not turning your heart. He turning your heart back to America. That's what Aaron would do. He tried to turn people's heart back to Egypt. What does it take to wake you up? Are you that asleep? Well, you're gonna wake up in a minute. Because the thing Master Prophet is going to do in a minute, it's going to wake you up. It's going to shock the whole world. It will shock you. It will wake you up, guaranteed. See, some of you are going to wake up just to go right back to sleep. Right? Zoop, cut your throat. Permanent. Because you just... Okay, so that's it, brothers and sisters. See, so he's going to smite the earth with a curse. That means if you stay here, and you don't want to go back to your fathers, he's going to smite you with the curse too. Right here, you're going to be in the earth's going to be smite. You're going to be in it. You want to be here? When the earth is smitten with a curse, earth represents European countries. Okay, brothers and sisters, I think that's pretty much it. That's it. I think we're going to leave it there. Yeah. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. See? So Suleiman is building fortresses all over again. See? They're not going to dismantle these. See, because the first resurrection, they didn't have spirit, so it wasn't in them. See, he gave them the thought process, but they couldn't hold it. He says they came together, but they had no spirit. See? But when Suleiman called to the prophets of 4 winds, that resurrected his spirit. So no matter, I could leave there tomorrow, they can't take it away from the ones that got it. And the ones that got is enough to destroy them. Because you only need one. But now you got a whole bunch and say you have 140,000, so they have no chance. They're not going, once you got the angel, you ain't going to lose it. If you got it, there's no way in the world you can lose it. There's no way they can take it from you. It's so beautiful, so powerful. Once you get it, there's no way you can take it from you again. See? But we got a remedy for that too, for you mavericks out there that think you can get the angel right, and then you can just, right, just do what you want to do with our nation. That's not going to work. because the only way you're getting out of here, right, is in the Lamb's Book of Life, because I got to make sure, certify you, because we ain't going to have no blind elephants over in the Middle East. We go home. We ain't bring no blind elephants over there. So if you ain't on board, you ain't in sync with your God and sync with your people, you're a cancer cell, then you have to stay here and fight out with Satan and death and hell, because they're on the way. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.